There are two types of tests to measure knowledge, process, and understanding. Number one is objective tests. Under the objective test, there are pencil and paper tests, simple recall tests, alternative response tests, multiple choice tests, matching type tests, and in the matching type, there are two types of matching type. These are perfect matching type and imperfect matching type. And the second type of test is called subjective test. These are essay and restricted response item. Before we discuss about all the types of objective tests, first we will tackle what is objective test. Objective tests requires recognition and recall of subject matter. They tend to cover more materials than essay tests. They have one and only one correct answer to each question. It can also be called as a loyal test because it needs only one particular answer to a particular question. Now that we know about what is objective test, we will start to discuss what is paper and pencil test. Paper and pencil test refers to the general group of assessment tools in which candidate reads questions and responds in writing. This includes tests such as knowledge and ability tests and inventories such as personality and interest inventories. Example of this, when we are taking our examination, we are using pencil to write our answer in a paper. And the second one is simple recall type test. The simple recall test is here somewhat arbitrarily defined as one in which each item appears as a direct question, as stimulus word or phrase, or as specific directions. These are the example of simple recall type of test. Alternative response test consists of declarative statement that the student is asked to mark true or false, right or wrong, correct or incorrect, yes or no, fact or opinion, agree or disagree, or the like. In this type of text, the student can only answer true or false. Modified alternative response tests, there is or are underlined words that should be corrected to become the statement true or positive in its structure. Instead of answering false in the question, we need to change the underlined word into the correct word or statement. Perfect matching type. In this typical format, the left column consists of the premise statements and the right columns the responses. A perfect matching type situation exists when the number of premises is equal to the number of responses and the responses can only be used once. This is the example. The premises and responses has the same quantity. When there is perfect matching type test, there is also imperfect matching type test. Imperfect matching exists when the response list is longer than the premise list, when the responses can be used more than once, and or when some of the responses do not match any of the premises. We call the matching type test imperfect when the premise list and the responses are not in the same quantity. And the second type of test to measure process, knowledge, and understanding is called subjective test. A subjective test is evaluated by giving an opinion. It can be compared with an objective test, which has right or wrong answers and so can be marked objectively. Subjective tests are more challenging and expensive to prepare, administer, and evaluate correctly, but they can be more valid. The answer in the subjective test came from the student's thoughts, opinion, and understanding of the lessons. In subjective tests, they don't have a particular answers. Under the subjective test is essay test. An essay exam requires you to see the significance and meaning of what you know. It tests your knowledge and understanding of the subject and your skill in reading and writing. To be successful on an essay exam, you must prove immediately that you know the material. Make your meaning unmistakably clear. In this essay test, we answer the questions in a paragraph form. Lastly, restricted response test poses a specific problem for which the student must recall the proper information, organize it in a suitable manner, derive a defensible conclusion, and express it within the limits of the posed problem is called a restricted response essay item. In restricted response test, the teacher will give a question and the student will answer it in essay form.